Okay, well here we go looking at the first problem, area and volume. So on this problem, what I do first is I graph the functions so that I can find this intersection point here. Now, I am not going to round this decimal point. One option you have is you can store it as a variable, or you can just keep rewriting it. But remember, you don't want to round till 3 decimal places until the very end of your problem. Now, I want to find the area of this region. So I draw my representative rectangle, and we see immediately that it's in respect to x. So I'm going to write dx. And the lower and upper limits is from 0, and then the upper limit is 0.76. I'm going to put my glasses on here so I can see better. 4972. Yes? Yes. And then I go the upper function minus the lower function. Well, the upper function is the cubic function, so it would be 1 minus x cubed. And then I'm going to subtract the sine function, which is sine of x squared. Now I put that into my calculator, and the answers you should get then is rounded to 3 decimal places, 0.533, or they would also accept 0.534. Now for this problem you get 1 point for the integrand and 1 point for the answer. And then 1 point for the limits. So 1 point for limits, 1 point for integrand, 1 point for answer. Bada boom, bada bang. Okay, let's go on to the next part of this problem. More complicated. So on part B, they're asking for something a little more complicated. And we want a horizontal line drawn through the point where they intersect. So something like that. Now, a horizontal line is written in the format y equals. So according to my graph, the value at y is 0.552352. Okay, got that? So we want to know, does this area here, is it equivalent to the area below the graph? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find those two areas and then compare them. So I'm going to go, the lower limit is from 0, the upper limit is 0.764972. And I'm going to go the upper limit minus the lower limit. Well, the upper limit is the 1 minus x cubed, okay, and then minus the lower limit, which is our 0.552352. Now make sure your calculator is giving you more than 3 decimal places because we don't round until the very end. And when I do that calculation then, I would get either 0.257, or if I didn't round, I just truncated 0.256. Now I do the same thing for the area below that horizontal line. So again, I'm going to go from 0 to 0.764972. And this time I'll go the upper function, which is k. Oops, sorry, no equal sign. Sorry about that. K minus the function sine of x squared. Now when I put that into my calculator, I get 0.277, okay, or 0.276 is also accepted. So we can see the areas above and below this line are not equivalent. So you would get a point if you have the integrals with the k value. So if you have, this integral here and this integral here, correct? And then if you have the values of the integrals, so this number and this number, correct? That's another point. And then you make a conclusion tied to the two integrals. Okay, great. Now let's go to the last part of this question. Now part 3, they're asking you to find volume where it's revolved around the line y equals -3. So let's say I extend this line a little bit. 1, 2, 3. So here's my line y equals -3. Now of course I want to draw my representative rectangle first. So I'm going to be revolving around here. Now we can see that it is not connected to the axis of revolution. So therefore, I am going to use the washer method. Okay, so it's going to be pi, the integral, and the big radius squared minus the small radius squared. And this is dx. That's a minus sign. Okay, now the big radius squared then is going to be, let's see, where do I have most space? That's fine, probably. pi the integral. So dx is going to be 0 to that point we've been using over and over, 0.76, what was it, 4972, hopefully. And then the big radius squared, which would be the upper limit, 1 minus x cubed, minus that horizontal line, -3. Oops, sorry, ran a room there. And we're going to subtract the smaller radius, the part that's being taken out, this section right here, which is sine, oh, I'm definitely going to run out of room on here, x squared, and then we minus the -3. Sorry about that, folks. Now be very careful when you're putting this into your calculator. So the answer that is correct is either 11.841, or if you did it round, 11.840. Now for this problem, you get 2 points for the integrand and then 1 point for the answer. I hope that you nailed this problem.